ready to go beyond just the Reiki buzzwords.
Let's do it.
Today we're exploring Reiki, Dr. Mikao Usui's original teachings.
Ooh, that's a good one.
By Isis Estrada. This deep dive is going to be like Reiki 101.
Okay.
But with all those insights, that'll make it really memorable for you guys.
I love that. Yeah, Estrada's book is super unique.
Yeah.
In how it blends history and philosophy and practical techniques all together.
I know.
Gives you so much rich context that I think a lot of people are missing.
Exactly. It's not just about learning, where to put your hands. It's about understanding what Reiki actually is at its core.
Yeah.
So let's start there. How would Estrada define this universal energy that everybody's always talking about?
Well, she breaks down the word itself.
Okay.
Right? Rei, meaning universal, and then ki, which refers to life energy.
Okay.
And, you might recognize ki from other traditions, like qi in Chinese medicine or prana in yoga. So it's a concept that you find.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Across so many cultures.
It's not just some new agey thing.
Exactly.
There's actually some history there.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And Estrada emphasizes that Reiki promotes harmony. And it works for good. And it requires consent, which is really important.
Yeah.
And acts as a conduit for this energy that already exists.
Okay.
Not like the source of it.
Got it.
Yeah. And she also stresses that this energy is intelligent.
Interesting.
Meaning it goes where it's needed the most.
Intelligent energy.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's intelligent, does that mean we don't have any control over how it works?
That's a great question. That's where the practitioner comes in.
Okay.
They act as a facilitator to help guide the flow of the energy.
Okay.
So it's more like being a gardener.
Oh, I like that.
Tending to a plant rather than a mechanic fixing a machine.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
So less about directing the energy and more about creating the right conditions.
Absolutely.
For the healing to occur.
Exactly. And Estrada is very clear that Reiki is a complementary therapy.
Yay.
Not a replacement for conventional medicine.
Of course.
It's about adding another layer of support to someone's own healing journey.
Absolutely. So we've got this intelligent, universal energy that we can tap into for healing.
Right.
But where did Reiki even come from in the first place?
Well, Estrada goes into the fascinating story of Mikao Usui.
Oh, yeah.
Who was the one who rediscovered this ancient practice in the late 19th century. He was born in Japan in 1865 and exposed to both traditional Zen Buddhism and Western medicine.
That blend of East and West.
Yeah.
It seems like it comes up a lot with Reiki.
Absolutely. But the real turning point for Usui was his experience on Mount Karama.
Okay.
Where he did a 21-day fast and meditation.
Wow.
Which culminated in a profound spiritual experience. Very mysterious attunement.
Okay.
Where he received the knowledge of Reiki.
So it wasn't like he learned it from a book or anything. It was more like a direct revelation.
Exactly. And on his way down the mountain, he spontaneously healed his injured foot.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a dramatic moment.
Oh, right.
That experience really convinced him of Reiki's power, and he went on to establish a school.
Oh, wow.
To share his knowledge with others. And he even used Reiki to aid earthquake victims.
Really?
Showing its potential to alleviate suffering on a larger scale.
It's amazing how, a personal experience can then transform into something that's so good for the world.
Yeah. It's really beautiful.
And so it's not just about healing the body, is it?
Right.
I understand there are also Reiki principles that kind of guide practitioners.
Yes. And Estrada emphasizes that these principles aren't just for practitioners.
Okay.
They offer wisdom that we can all use in our daily life.
Yeah.
Encouraging us to take responsibility for our own well-being and focusing on what we can control and cultivating gratitude.
So it's less about trying to control the external circumstances and more about shifting our internal state of being.
Precisely. For example, instead of dwelling on unfairness at work, the principles encourage you to focus on the positive aspects and the things you can actually influence.
Yeah.
Or instead of worrying about a future event, you prepare diligently and then trust the process.
Okay.
It's
kind of like a mindfulness practice, learning to be present and focus on what actually matters.
Exactly.
So we've got this universal energy. We've got these guiding principles.
Right.
What else is part of that foundation of Reiki?
Well, to understand how Reiki works, Estrada talks about the energy systems of the body.
Okay.
Starting with the aura. She describes it as a field of energy surrounding all of us, reflecting our emotions and our spiritual state.
Okay.
And it's interesting, she even mentions early attempts to observe the aura scientifically.
Really?
Like Kilner's experiments with ultraviolet light in the early 20th century.
It makes you wonder what else we might be able to perceive if we expand our awareness.
I know, right?
Beyond, just what we can physically see.
Totally. And then beyond the aura, there's also the chakras.
Okay.
Which are these energy centers along the spine.
Right.
Each chakra is associated with different aspects of our being. So the root chakra with grounding.
Okay.
Sacral with emotions and creativity.
Okay.
Solar plexus with personal power.
Okay.
The heart chakra with love and compassion.
Gotcha.
The throat chakra with communication.
Mm-hmm.
Third eye with intuition.
Okay.
And the crown chakra with spirituality.
So it's like a map of our energetic anatomy.
Exactly.
But are those chakras actually...
That's a good question.
Like spinning wheels of energy, or is that more of a metaphorical concept?
That's where it gets even more intriguing.
Okay.
Estrada mentions research by Motoyama and Hunt, who tried to measure chakra activity scientifically, which suggests that these ancient concepts might actually have a basis in measurable reality.
That's really interesting. So we've got this universal energy, these guiding principles, and this whole system of energy flowing through us.
Yes.
But let's say somebody wants to actually experience Reiki for themselves.
Okay.
What would that first step be?
Well, Estrada explains the first level of training, which is called Shoden.
Okay.
Which focuses on self-healing and learning to apply Reiki to others.
Gotcha.
And it begins with an attunement.
Okay.
A special ceremony that was conducted by a Reiki master.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit.
Sure.
What is an attunement and what happens during it?
It's interesting because it's a very subjective experience.
Okay.
Estrada mentions sensations like warmth or light, even visions.
Yeah.
But some people feel nothing consciously, and they notice a shift in their energy later.
Okay.
So there's not really a one-size-fits-all.
So if somebody goes into it with specific expectations, they might not have that experience. It's more about just being open to whatever comes up.
That's a really good way to put it. Openness and receptivity are what's most important during an attunement. And she describes it as a clearing of blockages, an opening of channels.
Okay.
To allow Reiki to flow more freely.
That makes sense. But how can a ceremony, whether in person or distance, actually create those changes?
That is the big question.
Energetically.
That's where the mystery lies. Estrada doesn't really delve into the exact mechanics.
Okay.
But she does stress that attunements don't instantly make you a healer.
Okay.
They enhance your ability to channel the energy. But the Reiki itself is what does the healing.
So the practitioner is more of a conduit.
Exactly.
Okay.
A bridge.
Between the energy and the recipient.
Exactly. It's about humility, recognizing that we're working with this energy, not trying to control it.
Right.
And once someone is attuned, they can begin to practice Reiki.
Okay.
And it usually starts with self-healing.
Self-healing. So just kind of getting familiar with the energy and how it feels.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about applying Reiki to other people?
Well, Estrada describes a typical session in a calming, quiet setting.
Okay.
With the recipient lying down comfortably.
Okay.
And the practitioner will either hover their hands over the recipient's body or make light contact.
So it's pretty gentle and non-invasive.
Yeah, gentle.
Very different from a typical doctor's appointment.
Very much so.
Is there more of an emphasis on the emotional and spiritual aspects of healing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Estrada emphasizes that a Reiki session is more than just a physical treatment.
Okay.
There's a conversation beforehand.
Yeah.
A focus on the person's holistic needs. And an intention to promote well-being on all levels.
So it's very personalized and intuitive.
It is.
And I understand there are specific hand positions used in Reiki.
Yes, and the first one that you learn in Shoden is Gasho, which is the prayer position with the palms together.
Okay.
But Estrada goes beyond just the physical posture.
Yeah.
She explains the deeper significance of it.
Right, so it's not just about the outer form, but the inner state that it cultivates.
Yep. Exactly. Gasho is about cultivating reverence and stillness and connection to something greater.
Okay.
It's like a mini meditation.
Oh, okay.
Help center the practitioner before and during the session.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then there's another symbol that's introduced in Shoden.
Okay.
Called Choku-rei.
Yeah, the power symbol.
Yeah, the power symbol.
I've seen that one before.
Yeah, it's used to begin a session. And Estrada breaks down the meaning of it.
Oh, okay.
The lines and circles represent different forces coming together. It's like a visual representation of the Reiki energy itself.
Wow.
And you start to see how Reiki is not just about energy, but also about symbolism and intention.
Really cool. Okay, so we've got like the basics of Shoden.
We do.
The first level of Reiki.
Right.
What about those higher levels?
Right.
You know, Estrada mentions like Okuden and Shinpiden.
Yeah, those higher levels introduce new symbols and more advanced techniques.
Right.
And eventually the ability to teach others.
Yeah.
But we'll delve into those deeper mysteries.
Yeah.
In the next part of our deep dive.
This is already getting really interesting. Can't wait to explore those higher levels and see where this Reiki journey takes us next.
I'm excited. Welcome back to our Reiki deep dive.
You okay?
We've established the foundations, the universal energy, the guiding principles, and had a little glimpse into the body's energy systems.
Yeah.
Now let's actually talk about what it means to practice Reiki.
Yeah, let's get practical.
Okay.
In the last part, we talked about attunements being essential to becoming a practitioner.
Right.
Estrada describes them as ceremonies conducted by a Reiki master.
Yeah.
To help students connect to the energy. But what actually happens during an attunement, is it like a mystical experience or?
It's really interesting because the experience is so subjective.
Okay.
Estrada mentions sensations like warmth, light, even visions.
Wow.
But some people don't feel anything consciously.
Really?
And then they notice a shift in their energy later.
Okay.
So, it seems like there's no one-size-fits-all.
So going into it with, like, specific expectations might not be the best approach.
Exactly.
It's more about just being open to whatever unfolds.
It's just that openness and receptivity are what's important during the attunement. And she describes it as a clearing of blockages, an opening of channels, allowing Reiki to flow more freely.
That makes sense. But how can, like, a ceremony, whether it's in person or at a distance, actually create those changes energetically?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
I think that's where the mystery lies.
Yeah.
Estrada doesn't delve into the exact mechanics.
Okay.
But she stresses that attunements don't instantly make you a healer.
Okay.
They enhance your ability to channel the energy.
Okay.
The Reiki itself does the healing.
So the practitioner is more of a conduit.
Exactly.
A bridge between the energy and the recipient.
Exactly. It's about humility.
Yeah.
Recognizing that we're working with this energy.
Right.
Not controlling it. And then once attuned, the student can begin practicing Reiki.
Okay.
Usually starting with self-healing.
Self-healing.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of how Estrada emphasizes Reiki as a complementary therapy.
Yes.
Not a replacement for conventional medicine.
Right. It's about recognizing that healing is multifaceted and finding what works for each person.
Absolutely.
And this brings us to the 3 pillars of Reiki practice that Estrada highlights.
Okay.
Gasho, Reijiho, and Chiryo.
Okay. Those are some new terms.
Yeah.
What do those represent in practice?
Well, Gasho is the simplest. It's the prayer position with palms together.
Right.
But Estrada explains that there are formal and informal versions.
Okay.
Each with specific hand and body positions.
Okay.
It's about more than just the outer form, though.
It's about cultivating a certain inner state, like we talked about before.
Exactly. Gasso helps cultivate reverence, stillness, and connection. It's actually very similar to mindfulness practice.
Oh, interesting.
Bringing awareness to the body and the present moment.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then we have Reijiho.
Okay, what's Reijiho?
Reijiho involves short rituals performed before a healing session.
Okay.
So it's all about setting intention.
Okay.
First, there's a brief Gasso meditation, followed by a prayer of gratitude to the universe, and then a prayer for the recipient's well-being.
Okay.
And finally, asking for the Reiki energy to guide the session.
So it's like creating that sacred space and inviting the energy to flow?
Exactly. It's about approaching the practice with intention and awareness. And then we have Chiryo, which basically means treatment. This is where the practitioner actually channels Reiki.
Oh, okay. So this is where the hands-on healing comes in.
Yes. Estrada describes a technique where the practitioner starts by holding their dominant hand above the recipient's crown chakra.
Okay.
And then intuitively sensing where to move next, based on the flow of energy.
So it's not just following a rigid set of hand positions.
Right.
There's an intuitive element to it as well.
Absolutely. It's a balance between the learned techniques and intuitive guidance, being open to the subtle cues of the energy.
And breathwork seems to be a big part of it too.
Yes, breathwork plays a really crucial role throughout the session.
Breathwork seems like it's so important in a lot of healing modalities.
Yeah.
How is it used specifically in Reiki?
Well, Estrada mentions a technique taught by Dr. Usui called Joshin Kokyuho.
Okay.
It involves visualizing Reiki energy flowing in with each inhale and then activating chakras with each exhale. So it's like breathing with the energy.
It's fascinating how something as simple as breath can be used to, like, enhance the flow of energy.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
And earlier we mentioned those higher levels of Reiki.
Yes.
Okuden and Shinpiden.
Right.
What can you tell us about those?
Well, in Okuden, the second level, you're introduced to the use of symbols to enhance the practice.
Okay.
But it's important to note that these symbols aren't just something you can, like, pick up from a book and start using.
Right.
Estrada really emphasizes the importance of receiving proper attunement from a Reiki master for each level.
Okay.
To connect to the energy and intention behind the symbols.
It makes me think of those, like, ancient traditions where knowledge is passed down through initiation, not just books.
Exactly. And the first symbol introduced in Okuden is Seihiki.
Okay.
Which is associated with emotional and mental healing.
So it's not just about physical healing. Then Reiki can address emotional and mental imbalances as well.
Precisely. Estrada describes Seihiki as a very subtle energy.
Okay.
Always used in conjunction with Chokurei, the power symbol.
Okay.
And she even has this technique called the Reiki sandwich.
Okay.
Where you visualize the symbols entering the recipient's energy field and chant their mantras.
So it's like you're focusing the energy specifically towards, like, emotional and mental well-being.
Exactly.
Okay.
And she gives examples of how Seihiki could be used, like clearing blockages, releasing repressed emotions, even supporting decision-making.
Wow.
It's about addressing those deeper layers that often influence our physical health as well.
Yeah. Right. So Seiheki is about working within the individual's energy field.
Yeah.
But what about healing someone who isn't physically present?
Right.
Earlier we mentioned distance healing.
That's where the second symbol introduced in Okuden comes in.
Okay.
Han Shazi Shonen.
Okay.
The distance healing symbol.
No, things are getting really mind-bending.
I know, right?
Distance healing. How is that even possible?
Yeah.
Does Estrada offer any explanation for that?
She emphasizes the importance of intention and visualization.
Okay.
The practitioner focuses on the recipient, visualizes them receiving the energy, and uses the symbol to bridge the connection.
Wow.
So it suggests that Reiki can transcend the limitations of time and space.
So even if we don't fully understand the key is, like, the intention behind it.
Exactly.
And if distance healing is possible, what about distance attunements?
Well, Estrada actually argues that distance attunements are just as effective as in-person ones.
Really?
Her reasoning is that if Reiki can transcend time and space during healing, why not during attunements as well?
It really challenges our conventional understanding of energy and how it works.
Totally.
And with these higher levels, it seems like the possibilities within Reiki just keep expanding.
They do.
Estrada even mentions techniques like quantum surgery.
Right.
Which sounds pretty intense.
Quantum surgery is about working with Reiki to remove energetic blockages.
Okay.
But it goes beyond just visualizing energy.
Yeah.
The practitioner actually helps the client identify the form, the color, even the sound of the blockage.
Wow.
And then they use Reiki-infused hands to remove it.
It's like performing surgery on the energy body.
It is.
Addressing those subtle layers that traditional medicine might not.
Exactly.
And speaking of expanding possibilities, the final level of Reiki training.
Right?
Shinpiden.
Yes.
This is where the student becomes a master and learns to attune others.
Yeah.
But we'll explore those nuances of the master level
in
the final part of our deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
I'm already feeling like a shift in my understanding of healing and energy.
Yeah.
Just from exploring these concepts. I can't wait to delve into that master level.
Yeah.
And see what other insights Reiki has to offer. Welcome back for the final part of our Reiki journey.
It's been quite a journey.
I know we've covered so much.
Yeah.
From the basics of energy and those principles to the hands-on techniques, even those mind-bending concepts like distance healing.
I know.
And now we're stepping into the realm of the Reiki master.
Yes. Shinpiden, as Estrada describes it, is like the culmination of the Reiki path.
Okay.
It's less about technical mastery and more about embodying the essence of Reiki and passing that wisdom along.
So it's like graduating from student to teacher.
Exactly.
Guiding others on their own Reiki journeys.
Yeah, and at this level, we encounter the master symbol.
Right.
Daikomayo.
Daikomayo.
Estrada calls it the most powerful symbol in the Usui system.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So how is it supposed to work?
Well, it's fascinating because the Daikomayo is believed to work on multiple levels.
Okay.
Physical, emotional, mental and spiritual.
It's not just about channeling energy then.
Right. It's about raising consciousness and connecting to a deeper sense of purpose.
Almost like a catalyst for transformation.
Yeah.
Not just for the individual receiving the attunement.
Yeah.
But like rippling outward.
Absolutely.
And speaking of attunements.
Yes.
Estrada provides like really detailed instructions for each level.
She does.
What stood out to you in her approach?
You know, what really struck me was the emphasis on intention and reverence throughout the entire process. It's not just like a rote procedure, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a sacred act of transmitting this energetic gift.
I can see that.
Yeah. And she also acknowledges that there are variations in technique,
right?
Recognizing that the transmission of knowledge has evolved over time.
So Reiki is like a living practice.
Yeah.
It adapts as it's passed on.
Exactly.
From teacher to student.
Right. It's not about rigid adherence to the rules.
Right.
It's about honoring the essence of the practice.
And even at the master level.
Yeah.
Estrada doesn't shy away from the unconventional aspects of Reiki.
Not at all.
We've talked about distance attunements.
Yeah.
And she also goes deeper into quantum surgery.
She does.
It's such a cool concept.
Yeah.
Using Reiki to visualize and remove energetic blockages on those subtle levels that can impact our well-being.
Exactly.
So how does she describe that?
Well, she provides specific steps for identifying and extracting those blockages.
Okay.
Almost like performing surgery on the energy field.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It is quite a departure from that gentle touch we often associate with Reiki.
Right. It really expands our understanding of what Reiki can address.
Yeah.
And she introduces another interesting practice.
Okay.
Reiju.
Yes.
Supposedly used by Dr. Usui himself.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Reiju is a form of meditation and energy transmission.
Okay.
That's aimed at deepening the connection to Reiki.
Okay.
It can be done individually or with others.
Okay.
Estrada describes a technique for empowering others with Reiju.
Okay.
Using the hands to guide energy through the recipient's body.
So it's not just for healing then.
Right.
It's also for like spiritual growth and development.
Exactly. It all circles back to that core principle of Reiki. Using this universal life force energy to promote harmony and well-being.
It's a beautiful concept.
On all levels.
Yeah, it really is.
Yes.
And we've explored so much in this deep dive.
I know.
You know, the history, the principles, the techniques, the philosophy behind Reiki.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, I'm curious, what has resonated with you the most throughout this whole deep dive?
You know, for me, it's the reminder that healing is a multifaceted journey.
Absolutely.
And that we have more power within us than we realize.
I love that.
Yeah, Reiki offers tools to tap into that power.
Right.
Whether it's through self-practice, working with a practitioner, or exploring those more advanced techniques.
I agree. It's about cultivating awareness, intention, and connection to ourselves, to the energy around us, to something greater.
Exactly. And it's a journey that's accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
Regardless of background or beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether you're drawn to the practical healing aspects, the philosophical principles, the spiritual dimension, Reiki offers a path of exploration and growth.
I love that.
Yeah. And as Estrada reminds us,
it's
all about approaching the practice with an open mind and a heart full of compassion.
Well said. I think that's a beautiful note to end on.
It is.
We've reached the end of our Reiki deep dive.
We have.
But I hope this is just the beginning of your own exploration of this fascinating practice.
Keep exploring, everyone.
Until next time, keep exploring. Stay curious.
Stay curious.
And may your energy flow freely.
And may your energy flow freely.